Hello ECF, hope you're doing well and hope the Psalms are going well as well. We took a break last week, and just so you know what's coming up, we're going to take another break this next week. Not that that should stop your Psalm reading, but we're just allowing some people to catch up, as a few people have fallen behind, and it would be great for them just to be following with us. If you're on target, just keep going. You'll get that little bit of extra time, but we still have enough time before Christmas for us to get through all the Psalms and even give a bit of extra time for Psalm 119 itself. But this week, I wanted to focus on one specific idea as we look through Psalm 92 all the way to Psalm 98, and that idea is the idea that God is all-knowing. And so follow with me first in Psalm 92, and we look at verse 5, which says this: "How great are your works, O Lord, your thoughts are very deep. The stupid man cannot know, the fool cannot understand this." So ultimately, it's the idea that the stupid man and fool cannot even know that God's thoughts are deep. But even as we think about how deep God's knowledge is of this world, of us, of many things, it's just far deeper than anything we could fully understand. Even one day when we are with the Lord, we will still not fully understand everything the Lord knows. There's been that old terrible teaching of the idea that one day when we get to be with God, we'll know all that God knows. And that's just not true, because we aren't beings that are all-knowing. There will always be limit to our knowledge, whereas with God, his knowledge is deep and long, and he understands all things. Psalm 93 says this: "Your decrees are very trustworthy. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore." So now, once again, the picture here, although this is not specifically speaking about his knowledge, the idea is because he is a God who is all-knowing, and that just doesn't just speak about the idea that he knows all knowledge. He knows all knowledge that will ever exist. He knows everything that's going to happen. It therefore means that what he says are true because he knows all things. And so it's not debatable with the Lord. It's not, well, let's wait and see. With the Lord, his decrees are true. And so when we look at the promises of God, we can know that his thoughts and his decrees will be true and will happen. And so when we think about Jesus Christ returning, we should know that that is trustworthy. Psalm 94 says this in verse 8: "Understand, O dullest of the people, fools, when will you be wise? He who planted the ear, does he not hear? He who formed the eye, does he not see? He who disciplines the nations, does he not rebuke? He who teaches man knowledge, the Lord knows the thoughts of man, that they are but a breath." So once again, it speaks about how limited our knowledge is, how small our thoughts are, even to the point that we don't even sometimes fully understand or believe that the Lord hears and sees everything. But think about this. We don't even fully understand our own thoughts. Think about the thoughts that you've just had this week. Maybe you had those times and periods where you're like, where did that come from? Well, God knows where it came from. God knows all our thoughts. And yes, that sometimes makes us feel a bit uneasy, because we know some of our thoughts that we are not happy with, but yet God still loves us and still is patient with us and still gives us grace, even despite those thoughts. And he also places thoughts in us for what he wants us to go do and the good that he has given us. Psalm 95 says, "For the Lord," in verse 3, "For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hands are the depth of the earth. The heights of the mountains are his also. The sea is his, for he made it, and his hand formed the dry land." Now, this is more speaking specifically about how big God is and his power. But once again, let's think about this. Think about how long it takes man to just build a dam, to hold the water in, and all the construction that needs to take place. And just in the past weeks, we've seen how much water can bring destruction, to break bridges, to even break dams in some cases. It takes immense knowledge for us to do it well. And yet God holds the seas in place. He knows the heights of mountains. He's built them. Once again, showing how great God's knowledge is and how far beyond his ability to know is than ours. Psalm 96 says, "For great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the people are worthless idols, but the Lord made the heavens." Once again, this verse doesn't specifically speak about God's knowledge, but think about how ridiculous it is in the past when people followed idols that they made out of statues, and thinking about those things and what knowledge they have. They have none. Yet we fall into the same trap, don't we? When we follow money or follow aspects of love or whatever we follow that's not God, do those things have knowledge? And even if they do have knowledge, do they have knowledge like the Lord? No. So why would we ever follow them? Yet we get turned this way and forth thinking that even in some cases we know better when we certainly don't. Lastly, I want to finish actually with Psalm 98. And what I want to read just is this verse 4. And the reason I want to finish with this is with the picture of, in thinking about the knowledge of God and all that he decrees and all that he does, it should lead us to worship. And so have this verse in your mind as you go through the next week, and have this worship in your heart. From verse 4, "Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth into joyous song and sing praises. Sing praises to the Lord with the lyre and the sound of the melody. With trumpets and the sound of the horn, make a joyful noise before the King, the Lord. Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands. Let the hills sing for joy together before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. He will judge the world with righteousness and the people with equity." Once again, God is the perfect judge because he knows all things, but also because he's righteous and he is God. But what we should do then, it should lead us to worship him. And so maybe you're in a place right now where you have no idea why you're going through this, whether it's sickness, financial difficulty, whatever it is, and you're just going through some period of time where it seems like you just want to know, but you can't know for whatever reason. Realize that you have a Father in heaven who does know. And so what we are called to do is to trust in his knowledge and worship him, as this passage tells us. Have a wonderful week. Bye.